are a couple of different ways that you can find financing for your real estate projects. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. One being conventional, it's kind of hard getting a 203K loan, but I encourage, there's this thing called house hacking when you are a young investor. Basically, what that means is that you should want to purchase something that's going to pay the mortgage for you. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a multi-unit property. So a 2 or 3 flat property that has 2 or 3 levels, 2 different apartments, where you can charge rent that will give you a little bit of cash in your pocket and then, be paying your mortgage for you. So with the house hacking, you would be able to qualify for a 203K loan because it would be an owner-occupied loan. And you can just go to your conventional bank and pay like 3 to 4%, where right now rates are about 5.1, but way lower than what I charge. And so number one would be you can find financing through your conventional bank using a 203K loan, but you don't want to buy a single family, which is like just what I have here. You want to buy a multi-unit when you're young and when you're first starting off, because that's how you get your foot in the door to invest in real estate. And that way you're not necessarily having to pay the mortgage because your rental units, your second and third floor units are paying for your mortgage. Okay, so number one is conventional lending. Number two, if your credit is not fantastic, there is a type of loan or financing called hard money lending. So hard money is literally that. It basically means that it doesn't care if you have documentation, tax returns, if your credit isn't fantastic, you can find a hard money lender who will give you financing, but your interest rate, which I'm sure that all of you know what that is, will be sky high. And I'm talking about 15% or higher for an interest rate for a short-term loan. So typically a short-term loan is between 9 and 12 months. So number one, financial institution would be your conventional lender like Chase or PNC or your local bank. Number two would be a hard money lender. If you don't have a lot of cash, or if you don't have your tax returns done, or if your credit's a little shaky, you can go to a hard money lender. Number three would be someone like me. I work for a company called Renewable Financial, and we are in the middle of a conventional lender and a hard money lender. We are privately funded. So what that means is that there are some bigger folks out there who give us money to then lend to real estate investors. So private equity, literally the companies that lend to us are little $1 million companies who put in, or multi-million dollar companies who put in money to help us then lend to investors in Chicago and other places. Some things that I wanted to cover with you guys tonight was not only where and how do you get financing, but how much money do you really need to get started? So there are a couple of different options in getting started with investing in real estate, which I'm pretty sure, I think Rashana talked a little bit about budgeting and saving and, starting off small or having a partner to join with you. But let's say you don't have a partner, or your mom or your uncle, whomever it may be, doesn't want to give you the cash. You need to know how much you should be saving in the bank before even entertaining the thought of becoming a real estate investor. So I always like to say you need to have at least a down payment. You need to have 6 months of cash reserve for whatever your life looks like at home. So even if you have, an apartment, you need to have 6 months of that saved up just in case something should happen. Like in Rashana's video, she mentioned that a company that she was working for let her go, but she was able to sustain her life and still live comfortably, maintain her lifestyle because she had reserves saved up in cash, not a credit card, okay? Not a promise that your mom might have put money away for you before you went away to school, and not a credit card, not your 401k either. We're talking about money that is going to go in a checking or a savings account. So let's just do an example. Let's say it costs you $3,000 to live your life. Now you're in college possibly, or you may not be. So $3,000 times 6 months is $18,000 alone, outside of any down payment money. Okay? So let's say that you had a property that you're interested in, right? And you want to buy it, and you want to do some cosmetic or some rehab to it. And the property is $50,000 to purchase, and then $50,000 to renovate. Okay, that's $100,000. Most lenders want to see between 10 and 20% of that total project cost. So 10% would be 10,000, 20% would be 20,000. So let's just take the higher for an example. You have the $18,000 in that cash reserve, right? So you can live your life, pay your bills, still be fabulous. And then you have this $20,000 down payment. Put those two together, now we're at $38,000. And you're probably looking at me like, MJ doesn't do it. That's just too much money. You know what? It is a lot of money. It really is. And I talk to people every day. I think I talk to, I don't know, between 20 and 60 people a day. And out of maybe 30, only one actually has that type of savings stored away. But they think that they can do it without having any kind of skin in the game, money to put into it. Now, there are some lenders who will do or brokers who will find you money that can do 100% financing. I say be careful with those, ladies. And the reason I say that is because there is going to be a return for them on the end. So they'll put all the money in for you just to help you out and get your foot in the door and start investing. But on the back end, when the property sells, you're only going to get 20% of the sale, and they're going to get 80%. Could be okay, to get your foot in the door and have that on your resume so that you've gotten a property done because you partner with a lender who did it, who gave you financing 100%. But it's just, I don't know, because I've been in the industry for 6 years now, I'm very leery of those lenders who will do 100% financing. There's always something on the back end, especially with private investors. So be careful with that, okay? So that's that. So the third thing about the money, so the number one would be the skin in the game. Number two would be your 6-month cash reserve. And number three would be having enough money to at least start the rehab project. So no lender in Chicago, there are maybe a few, I'm not going to say none, will go to the closing table and give you $50,000 outright. There is this thing called a scope of work. Basically, it's like a spreadsheet that says, Nene or Lisa's going to put in $5,000 in the kitchen, but that $5,000 has to be broken down. Cabinets, hardware, sink, paint, can lighting, whatever it may be. You have to have a scope of work, and you have to have a general contractor who's going to be doing the work in the home. And so what the lender is going to want to see is that scope of work, and your ability per your cash reserves has to show that you can at least start the rehab project with your own money. Once you've done X, Y, and Z according to that scope of work and those line items that I said before, they will have someone, either a title company or their own inspectors, come out and make sure that you've done, or your GC your general contractor has done X, Y, and Z, and then you're reimbursed. That is called a draw. I don't know why they say it called like drawing blood. That's what it feels like. But that is what that is called. So to recap that whole, how much do you need in cash reserves? I always want to give a number of between $40,000 and $50,000 comfortably. If you're going to be using anything outside of private outside of conventional lending, which would be hard money or a private lender like Renovo. Now, I do have good news. So there is a institution called the IDHA, and what they will do, it's the Illinois Housing Development Authority. If you live in Illinois, the IDA, as it would be called, offers down payment assistance up to 10%. So let's go back to the beginning of our conversation here. You can qualify for down payment assistance. Don't buy a single family home. Buy a multi-unit. That way you can qualify for that down payment assistance. That's 10%, up to 10%. And you might not even need that much money. You can qualify up to 10% for down payment assistance, especially if it's your first time buying a home. Don't buy a single family, buy a multi-unit. That is how you begin to get yourself and your foot in the door by building wealth. Let it pay your mortgage for you and earn a little bit for some carrying costs, your lights and your gas, etc., your taxes, and you might have $200 left over to buy some groceries. But that's what you want to do. There are some avenues for you. Look into those things, especially being a woman. The Small Women's Business Association here in Illinois also offers down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. Again, what do I keep saying? Do not buy a single-family home. Do not buy a townhome. Do not buy a condo if you're a first-time home buyer. Go out there and look for a multi-unit, a multiplex. I really do suggest a 3-unit, nothing more than a 4, because it could be a little bit difficult to manage on your own because you are going to be a landlord. But you can get assistance with that as well in vetting who your tenants will be. And so those things are really important. What else did I want to cover tonight? I also wanted to cover, what about your credit? Okay, ladies. I, again, talk to so many people every day, and they make really good money, and they have good money, but their credit sucks, okay? You want to make sure that your credit score is at least a 640 or higher. If you have not checked your credit score, you can get a full credit report with all 3 bureaus for free once a year from the IRS, okay? Or you can do Credit Karma or through Capital One or even Chase, or whoever your bank is, they might have an avenue for you to check your credit. The higher the credit, the lower your interest rate will be. Okay, so keep that in mind. If your credit is not so fantastic, again, going back to the back, you can do the hard money route to find financing for your real estate deals. And let's talk about the last thing is DTI. This is very important. This is one thing that is not talked about a lot in real estate, your debt to income ratio. Do you know what that is? Do you know what your debt to income ratio is right now? You should not be over 30%. There are some lenders like Renovo who doesn't mind if you're 55 to 60% debt to income, so you have more debt. Your debt is almost as high as your income, okay? You want to be sure that you're being a good steward of your money. Going back to Rashana's video, budgeting and taking care of your money and being sure that you're paying your debts on time, and that, especially credit card debt, that it's at least 30% of the money. You're not spending more than 30% of the money that you bring home. Get it? Got it? So that's an exercise for you guys. I would love to even post that in here to see how many of you actually take some time over the next couple of days to listen to Ty and listen to Rashana and listen to this and do some homework on where is my debt to income? Where is my credit score? Where do I want to buy properties at? You should know the neighborhoods that you want to invest in for real estate. What type of property do I want to invest in? So keep those things in mind. Number one, again, how much money do we need? 6 months cash reserve, down payment, and the ability to start your rehab project. No less than 30 to 50 grand. What about your credit? Credit score of a 640 or higher. What the heck is DTI? Your debt to income ratio. Do the homework. Where do you get a loan? Conventional, hard money, or private equity, okay? I have this conversation every day. If you are ready, if you feel like you are ready to even have a deeper conversation, again, I am a lender. I work for a lender here in Chicago. We close 50 loans a month, $16 to $20 million a month in real estate. It's not often that we work with new investors, but I do educate new investors all the time. And get yourself into networking groups. Rashana and Kenyatta, and there's some other amazing women in here who network. Join a networking group. And please, for the love of baby Jesus, do not pay money to be educated in real estate. There are people out there who are charging thousands of dollars for you to get what we can give you for free, okay? Don't do that, because that's going to put you into more debt, and then your DTI will be even higher. So I appreciate you guys chiming in. I know there's only a couple of you in here, again, because it is Friday night, but be sure to check out this video tomorrow while you're washing dishes or doing your twist outs, whatever it may be. And I'll put my information in here if you guys would like to reach out to me and talk a little bit more about financing, if you feel like you might be there, or if you have an equity partner, basically someone who's willing to give you a little bit of the money to get you started. If you feel like you're ready, we should have a conversation. Okay? All right, ladies, happy weekend. This has been an amazing week of learning for you guys. Keep watching the videos and reach out to your big sisters and let us guide you. Hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.